right? Uh, November the, I'm cheating. I'm looking at my computer. Doesn't have the day, but it has the date. It is the 7th of 2023, December. And so I titled the live talk questions instead of being so presumptuous of saying questions and answers. Even saying questions, sort of presumptuous, as if anyone would have a question for me about anything other than, hey, what's for dinner? What do you have for lunch? What do you have for breakfast? And actually, believe it or not, I'm always happy to talk about diet. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. Not just my diet, um, my particular style of diet. Obviously, anyone who's listened to me ramble on for the past year or so knows that I'm a vegan, and I'm a vegan for ethical reasons. I am not a stand on the chair and declare to the world that the only way to eat is veganism. The word vegan itself has a big meaning for me because it's an ethical stance. You could be plant based, you could be vegetarian, you could be someone who eats a vegan esque diet and not be vegan because you don't take that ethical stance. Um, the whole reason I became a vegan was for ethical reasons. As well, I thought it might help my ultra running. I didn't think I particularly needed the dietary help. Turns out I did. Um, Here's the funny thing. I had been vegetarian for a number of years. A little bit of meat here and there, but largely vegetarian. And um, I went to the doctor, I forget why. And after not being to the doctor for a long time, and they did blood work and everything. And she told me that my cholesterol was high, but not yet high enough for medication. So they were going to wait until it got higher and then put me on medication, which is ridiculous. There was no, hey, your cholesterol's high. This is what you need to do. It was, you're not bad enough yet to be on medication, but you'll get there. And then we'll put you on medication. You won't get better, but on medication, maybe you won't get worse. You can continue eating junk. You can continue eating the same junk that put you in this condition. Now, I didn't think I was eating junk. I didn't have a whole lot of junk food. Um, and I never have, except in my early teenage bodybuilding career. To put on weight, I ate everything. I would get a little bag of the mini peanut butter cups and eat the whole bag. But I was young, one. I was stupid, two. Three, at that age and with what I was doing in the weight room, I was just burning tons of calories. I could get away with all that stuff, I thought. I read an interesting statement today. It's not you are what you eat. You are what you ate. So, believe it or not, actually, even though I've been vegan for 14 years um, and vegetarian for a decade or so before that, I am probably still suffering the consequences for my past actions of believing I could be an athlete and smoke, believing I could be an athlete and drink, believing I could be an athlete and eat garbage because I got away with them because I was young. So if I'm restrictive now, it's because I have to be, not because, I feel like I'm in any great and grave danger, but because I got some ground to make up for, plus the fact I participated in that cycle of cruelty. I worked in a veal farm, not for long, but long enough to make a difference for me. I hunted, not much, but I got a long family history of hunting, multi-generation, very close ties to the land in Pennsylvania, northern Pennsylvania, where hunting is very big. And I absolutely love that about my family. There's close ties to nature. and to the land. Um, but it's based on hunting and fishing. And I found for myself, if I'm outdoors, which I love being outdoors, I'd rather put a heavy pack on and travel over land. I would rather put a light pack on and run. Um, I would rather go target shooting than shoot something live. It's not even a case of rather. I would never do it. If someone said veganism is the unhealthiest diet you could ever be on, I'd have to find a way to make it somewhat healthier because I'm a vegan. That will not change. Um, so, yeah, I got away with a lot of things. However, when that doctor said, you know, eventually you'll be sick enough that we'll give you some medicine, it's still mind boggling when I think about that. I decided to make some changes and I went vegan quickly. I talked about that yesterday. It's the same way I quit drinking, and I drank heavily for over a decade, every night. As you can tell by my videos, when I do something, I do it every single day without fail, even the bad stuff. So for me, when I make a change like that, it's almost as if every cell in my body has been replaced. Something new. The Buddhist concept of rebirth, not reincarnation, but rebirthed as something new, something different, something other. I was reborn a non-drinker. I was reborn a vegan in an instant. Just, I woke up and today I'm a vegan. Today I no longer drink. Today I no longer smoke. Just how it happened. Somebody has asked me before, could you lay this out? Could you teach? Nope. You can't teach epiphanies. You can teach how to cultivate a lifestyle of epiphanies, openness, doing your best to be kind, doing your best to be compassionate, doing your best to be empathetic, getting out in nature, meditating, doing breath work, doing yoga, deep prayer work, self-inquiry. All those lead to a lifestyle of epiphanies. And when that happens, you learn to embrace the epiphany. You embrace that change. When you wake up and you discover that you're vegan, are you going to fight it? I don't want to be a vegan. Bacon, stat. You wake up sober, you wake up, you're no longer a drinker. Do you fight it? Do you force it? Do you say, nope? It's just the way you were. When you woke up one day and you found yourself alive, awake, existing, what do? You lived. So when the epiphany happens, you wake up and you live your new life the way it is. It's exciting. That's what Nisargadatta Maharishi, his Niskara yoga, natural yoga, spontaneous. All of life is Nagara yoga. All of life is spontaneous. So, I don't know why I started talking about veganism. It wasn't planned. I guess I was talking about diet, and I'm always happy to talk about diet. Now, as I mentioned before, that I'm a vegan, but I'm not a jump on a chair and point and yell and preach type of vegan. It means that I eat this way. I don't expect you to eat this way unless you feel called to do so. But I think everyone would benefit from a plant-based diet, meaning that you include meat if you're inclined, but it's not the largest portion on your plate. That you eat, as Michael Pollan in Omnivore's Dilemma stated. Eat food, mostly plants. Eat food, not too much, mostly plants. I think a slightly caloric restriction in your diet is a key to longevity and cellular health. Lots of studies on that, and that's the genius behind intermittent fasting, as well as just generally keeping a lower calorie diet. I have no idea how many calories I get per day or how much protein, and that is surprising considering that at one time in my life I kept very precise counts of my macros. So Diet is a tough subject to talk about because people generally don't want to make changes, even when they are suffering the consequences of their diet. Eventually, everyone will suffer the consequences of the diet. Everyone who isn't doing something to be mindful of their diet. You can only escape the dietary noose for so long. Knowing that, here's an example, several examples that I like to use. Unfortunately, a horrible analogy for a vegan to use is the boiled frog syndrome. That if you put a frog in a boiling pot of water, it'll immediately jump out. If it doesn't, as a vegan, I will immediately take it out of the water and I'll look around for whoever it was who put it in there, and they will be punished immediately. However, if you take a frog and you put it in a pot of cold water, turn the heat on very low, the frog will stay in there until it's cooked to death. Until a vegan comes along and says, nope, none on my watch, and saves the frog. So I try to clean up the analogy to make it more vegan friendly. My friend Burpee Matty did that in one of his ingenious burpee routines where he was a hunter chasing a rabbit, and I said I couldn't do that routine as a vegan, and he kindly switched it around to the hunter chasing a carrot. I think it was a carrot. If you don't know Burpee Matty, he is the mad genius of burpee programming. He's a storyteller in his routine, and they are brutal to do. If you're looking for a fun but brutal but also effective way of getting in a workout, look up Burpee Matty. If I think about it, I can provide a link. So, carrying on that theme, that's how we live our life. That we are in a pot of cool water with the heat turned low. Eventually it'll boil and we'll again suffer the consequences of our diet. Or we'll change. Sometimes we might change too late. Sometimes we might change just in time. Sometimes we might change and we still suffer the consequences, but we lessen it quite a bit. Ideally, I hope you change now if you think you need to. Go to the doctor. Get a checkup. You'll have feedback. He might not or she might not tell you what to do. Not our doctors. They're astute in dietary principles. But you can find that information yourself easily. Another thing, ethically, eventually we won't continue to be able to eat the way we do. It's going to have to all be local. If not our generation, the next generation. I'm probably a generation older than many people here. It's not going to be viable. The conditions of the soil, the conditions of the planet, condition of the water, streams, condition of rain, it's all going to be depleted, lessened. It's not going to do the job we need it to do. We're going to have to find new ways. So I would encourage everyone, you don't need to be vegan, but become part of the solution, which means mindful local eating, not too much, mostly plants. Doesn't have to be exclusively plants again, but mostly plants. And make those changes. Learn to cultivate a life of epiphanies. Meditate, do yoga, do breath work. If you're devotional, religious, do some deep prayer work. Not prayer where you're on your knees and you are begging for answers or solutions or for gifts. Don't treat God as a great vending machine in the sky. Pray as a form of communication. Pray that you can be a vessel to listen. And have an actual conversation with the God of your religious bent, whatever that might be. Pray on equal ground. That equal ground is also holy ground, but it's equal as in the instructions from Jesus himself that the kingdom of heaven is within. If the kingdom of heaven is within, why would you look up at the sky and ask a distant God for some kind of help? when you can simply turn within, you can follow the breath, you can get quiet, and you can ask, and you can wait, and you can listen and receive. So, about 15 minutes in, 16 minutes in, let's call it a day. I like doing the shorter talks. I feel anything longer, anything after this, and, you know, it's just going to get weirder. It's been weird enough. No sense getting any weirder than it is right now. So let's keep it here, and I'll be back tomorrow. Be back in the morning. We'll do some burpees. Come back in the afternoon, and we'll do some talking. You guys have a good day, and take care.